Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Then let go of whatever no longer serves you to take action now on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Erica will energize and excite you to power up your passionate dream that sets your soul on fire. With Erica's E3 approach, equipping, empowering, and enlightening yourself so you can be yourself for yourself. Get ready and get rooted to live a life without regrets, without what ifs, without should haves, and especially without empty feelings from a life unexplored. This hit show helps you build powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go. Get fearlessly ready and powerfully rooted in your yes with your host, Erica Gifford Mills, and be fearless about your more and stand in your yes. Now on Get Rooted Radio.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go, right here on Transformation Talk Radio. A big thank you to my producer today, Jessica. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Glad you're doing this conversation today.
I am too, and today's episode is titled Twist Out Cancer, and as October is Breast Cancer Awareness, and as a survivor, awareness and supporting the fighters and honoring the ones we have lost is so important to me. And that's why I am excited to have on today's show, Jenna, who is from Twist Out Cancer, and she is a cancer survivor herself, civil rights advocate, activist as well, I'm sure, but a world traveler, tiny twister who dreams big. And in December of 2010, Jenna was diagnosed with a rare blood disorder called gray zone lymphoma, which at the time affected fewer than 200 people. And instead of surrendering to cancer, she was determined to find meaning in her suffering. And in the course of her fight, Jenna figured out creative ways to leverage social media to process her experience and in turn create a community that became invested in her fight. I want to tell you so much more, but I'm going to save that for Jenna because we are going to talk about just that in this first segment is Jenna's journey. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Erica.
Well, so let's just jump right in. How did you start Twist Out Cancer, and how has the organization changed since you founded it? And maybe give a little background on what it is.
Yeah, so I founded Twist Out Cancer a couple months after my own cancer journey. So like you said, I was diagnosed with this really rare blood cancer, gray zone lymphoma. At the time of diagnosis in 2010, there were 200 cases worldwide. So as a 29-year-old, it was a very isolating place to be. There was no one really to connect with. And at the time, there was a Wikipedia article that had one sentence defining what this disease was, and it said it had features of Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So that was all that was available to me in terms of just trying to learn about my disease, and it was very hard to connect with others who had experienced this. So while I was going through treatment, I started blogging about my experiences with cancer, and at first, it was a private blog, and then I opened it up to the public because I had forgotten a couple of people along the way to include them in the link. And while I opened it up, I started to gain quite a viewership, and I couldn't really understand why that was. This was in the time when, you were blogging on like Blogspot, like very old school, right? And I was writing about sort of my innermost thoughts and feelings, and I was, incredibly scared and lonely and isolated at the time. And I think I was just really desperate for connection, but writing became this very safe place for me to process my emotions and to try and navigate all of it. And as I was sharing, it felt like the world was sort of opening up to me, because by being vulnerable and open and honest, it was in turn giving others permission to do the same. And so I started receiving these amazing emails from people all over the world that were going through different struggles. Some of them were cancer and some of them were not related to cancer at all. And it was very powerful that people were just sort of opening up about their stories. And when I finished treatment, I really wanted to do something with what I had learned. And midway through treatment, I wanted to also know, like, who were these people that were following along? Like, I saw their statistics in all these different countries, but I didn't really know who they were and why they were really a part of my journey. So I put out this very strange call to action where I videoed myself on YouTube doing the twist, and I said, who's joining me on the dance floor? And within a couple of days, we had a couple thousand people twisting out cancer. So that's where the name comes from. It was amazing. And this is, this is a long time ago, right? Like this is in 2010, 2011. So this is not when there was TikTok or Snapchat or all these other things. Like the two main outlets were YouTube and Facebook. So, and there wasn't even really paid advertising then, right? Things that went viral just, organically. And so to see just this small act of courage of asking people to join me, it really created a beautiful movement that I was not expecting to have happen, right? And so when I finished treatment, I really wanted to give back to the people that had been so generous to me and had really opened their hearts and had shown up for me. And so Twist Out Cancer, at its heart, utilizes the creative arts as a mechanism for healing. So everything that we do is creative arts based. And we run a number of different programs that are all arts focused. So we have 6 licensed art therapists on staff with us that run a program called Twist Shops, which are art therapy based workshops. And we run them with hospitals and other nonprofits and for-profit institutions, virtually, in person, and hybrid, where we meet the population where they're at. And it's on a variety of different topics. And it's very low barrier to entry. You can come in your pajamas with art supplies that you have around your house. And it's really a time to process your experiences and to connect with others that are experiencing similar type things. And then we also have our hallmark program, Brushes with Cancer, which matches artists with people touched by cancer.
I love that. I was part of that. It was so amazing. Yes.
Good, thank you. Yeah, and so we match artists with people that have been touched by cancer, and over 6 months they get to connect with one another, and the artist then creates a work of art reflective of that person's journey. And so, we've expanded these programs over the last, 13 years, and it's been amazing to see like how it's really no longer about my story. It's about empowering others to come forward with their stories. And I think there's real power in storytelling.
Absolutely. There's so much that you said that I want to touch on that. So I think one of the first things that you said is being vulnerable allows other people it gives people permission to do the same. And it is so true. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's authenticity. And when you are vulnerable, not only do you make better connections, but you show other people that it's okay. And it's amazing how many other people are out there that want that connection, need that connection, and what you can do to help one another. And then I love why you named it Twist Out Cancer, because I always believed humor was where I landed during my cancer journey. I was quite sassy and probably a smart mouth and made jokes, and it was because otherwise, what were you going to do, right? Otherwise I'd cry. And so it's, to me, doing something like you said, who's going to join me in twisting, right? Do the twist. And I think that was something small that made you smile, but it also gave permission again for other people to do the same. Like, yeah, let's just have fun. We might be doing this, but let's just have fun. And that's important. We can't forget to really enjoy those little moments. And I love that you then decided to give back to those that helped. And like I said, I had the honor of being which I kind of think is crazy, being what's called the inspiration, because my artist was an inspiration to me. There was so much that happened during that 6 months that none of us could have imagined. And the person that I was paired with, Kim Moore, she was amazing. And we had other things in common and connections. And your team didn't know that. And we didn't know that until things started unraveling. And it was such a wonderful experience to just talk through your journey and be paired up with somebody who's so artistic. I don't want to give away the next segment, because the next segment, we're going to get into why art, right? Why art and creativity. But I just think you've created something so magical and special that people need to go out there and see what it's all about, either for them to become involved as a helper, as a donor or donation, and then also those who have experienced it. So how can people learn more about your programs that you talked about, and where can they go to just generally get more information and promote Twist Out Cancer?
Yeah, I would say, our website is twistoutcancer.org. So everything is there. There's tons of information about our programs, but also we have a really robust resource page. So if you're looking for other types of support or other organizations that we think are doing amazing work, I would definitely suggest checking that out. And then, we're on all the social stuff too at Twist Out Cancer. So check us out there.
Yes. twistoutcancer.org or at Twist Out Cancer on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, etc. So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about why art and creativity matter and how it all helps when we're going through our journey. You are listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any portion of today's episode, you can catch it on getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe online to receive the latest news, events, specials, and words of encouragement. Go to getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest from Twist Out Cancer, Jenna. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So during our first segment, listeners learned about Jenna's journey and Twist Out Cancer's origins. And during this segment, we want to talk about why art and creativity. And so, you figure some of the basic, things, the emotional expression and release, or the sense of control and empowerment, the mind-body connection and healing, and that overall connection and community. But what else? I mean, art therapy can be used for so many things, but why is it so special for our folks in the cancer treatment and cancer journey?
Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting. Since COVID, there's been a lot of attention now on mental health. And I think it's really important because for so long, taking care of ourselves mentally was so stigmatized. It was something that we felt we should be ashamed of, which is really crazy. Right?
Yes.
So now I think that there's more attention on focusing on healing the entire person, not just healing the actual illness, right? So we go to the hospital and our doctors and nurses are treating the actual illness, but we need to be looking at the entire person and what happens after the hospital experience too, right? So what I found in terms of survivorship, that there was a real safety in going to the hospital, going to my checkups, being in that sort of system. It was comforting. I mean, of course, also scary, but there was routine in it. And I found that when I was done with treatment, that's when it got really complicated, because then it was on me to figure out, how do I manage the world? I'm different from how I was 6 months earlier. My entire world has changed. My perspective has changed. My body has different types of limitations. My mind has different types of limitations. So I was really, I felt very lucky in the sense that from day one of starting treatment, I was in therapy. My background is in social work. My mom's a clinical psychologist. I've been in therapy, in and out of therapy my whole life. I think it's really a godsend. And I really highly suggest that people seek it out, because it's so important to have a place to process your feelings and, thoughts and all of it, and to have an objective person looking at it and able to sort of ask you questions. So I knew, I was already in a very different place, I think, post-treatment than others that maybe didn't seek out that type of help, because I was processing what was happening throughout from day one, right? But what I found was that navigating the survivorship piece came with a lot of uncertainty and came without that sort of routine that provided me with comfort. So, for me, I am not an artist, and my background is in social work. So, I have that going for me, but arguably my 10-year-old is a much better artist than me, really, truly. So for me, the arts was more about the writing piece. So being able to express myself through writing was a sort of hallmark for me throughout. but also reconnecting with my body was really important. So I grew up as a dancer. I danced throughout even into college. And then when I became a young professional, I stopped doing those things and didn't really have access to that creative outlet because I was working and I was with friends and all of that, right? So my priorities sort of shifted. And when I was in treatment, I didn't recognize my body anymore. I was looking in the mirror and not recognizing the image that was staring back at me. I was losing a ton of weight. I had all these sort of pokes and prods, and everything looked different. And so what I ended up doing was dancing and reconnecting with dance, and movement throughout. So I've never been a good runner. I was always really the last to finish the race in gym class. And it was never something that I really liked, but getting into running actually helped me start to realize like what my body was capable of doing. So I used to mark if it was a good day or a bad day based on how if I could wiggle my toes or not. Because if I could wiggle my toes, it meant that I could probably get to the bathroom. And if I could get to the bathroom, then maybe it meant that I could do a walk around the block. And so I had these sort of markers that I would look at, and I would journal and write down like what I was able to achieve in that day. And it allowed me to look back and see, that I had accomplished certain things that maybe I wasn't able to accomplish the day or two earlier, right?
Yep.
Because chemo can be really exhausting and taxing on the body. So I was doing all of these things, right? So reconnecting with dance and my body, and also journaling and writing. And I found that tapping into that creativity did wonders for me. It allowed me to sort of process things differently, but also allowed me to connect with others. And so when we were thinking about Twist Out Cancer, I really wanted to create a platform for people to share their stories, but I also saw the power of the arts as being this common thread that really allowed me to process what I was experiencing throughout my journey. So that was critically important when I was starting the organization, to integrate the two things.
And I love that, because I know as an author, I write not because I ever wanted to be an author or publish a book or anything like that. That was my sense of release, how to process trauma and loss and just feelings in general. And I think cancer treatment can make people feel powerless, and that creative activities restore a sense of agency and choice, whether you're like choosing colors for a painting or designing a project or journaling or shaping a story. And I think when we go through treatment, we lose a sense of identity, and this is a way to regain that beyond our illness. And even though I agree with you, going to treatment, it was routine. I knew this is what I had. I knew this is what I was doing. And it was a sense of control, because you lose all other control. But I think that when we create something, we are reminded that we're not just being treated, we're creating something. And then having that mind-body connection along with it does focus our nervous system, helps the body rest and repair, because we are having not just that healing from the work, the surgeries, the chemo, the radiation, whatever you might have to go through. You're actually putting your mind and body to work to be creative. And I think that is so important.
I completely agree. I think that it's so important to be able to find your voice in this, right? And reclaim it. And I think that the arts allow us to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for some people, at least some of the other inspirations, and also the artists, because I know some of the artists that you have actually had cancer as well. And I think that art allows us as patients or former patients to redefine our narrative. And then we can leave that legacy. I know I was amazed at what my artist had done for me, and I say for me because I ended up purchasing it. And I was in a bidding war with my sister, and I realized,
I love that.
Yes, I was like, wait a minute, are you bidding? You're outbidding me. But it's amazing. It was great because she took some of my love of things that we just talked about and my journey, and just created this masterpiece. And to me, it was like, you transformed not only my story, but my suffering into purpose and beauty. And I think by doing that, it helps to remember what I went through was actually beautiful, because it wasn't, during the time I would have never said that. And during the time I would have never said I needed to get cancer to be prepared for something that happened to me that was far more worse. And I did, because I learned how to be vulnerable. I learned how to I learned to accept help, and then I learned how to ask for help. And while people are like, well, so yeah, art doesn't cure cancer. No, I agree. Art doesn't cure cancer, but it heals the human spirit that will allow you to get better, because you need to be, comfortable and at peace in order to be rejuvenating and healing.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. So I love this. And I think what I want also folks to know is that creativity becomes medicine for your soul. And it really helps not just survive, but find the light and find the hope when we're going through a very dark time. And I think that reaching out to help others and just looking more into what Twist Out Cancer has to offer is something that you all should do, right? Twistoutcancer.org, because it is a wonderful organization, and you can see all the great opportunities that they have. Even if you're not going through that, we all have been touched by cancer in one way or another. We either went through it, we know a family member, we know a friend, we know the great strides that have come, but we're not there solving it 100% yet. So just get to know, so that you can pass the information along to somebody that you might run across. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what's next for Twist Out Cancer. But before we go, Jenna, tell folks how they can connect with you, learn more about your programs, or any additional information about treatments and cancer, and just everything that you have out on your site.
Yeah, I would say come and visit us at twistoutcancer.org. You can also email me directly at jenna@twistoutcancer.org, and follow us on all the socials at twistoutcancer.
Thank you so much. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Don't forget to visit getrootedradio.com to listen to a replay of this episode, sign up for helpful tips, and learn about upcoming events. That's getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Jenna Benn Shersher. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So during the last segments, we've discussed your journey, Jenna's journey, Twist Out Cancer, and how creativity and art can help when we're going through our cancer journey. And during this segment, we're going to talk about what's next. So you have a lot of amazing events, activities, and special things that you are doing in hospitals. Tell our listeners how they can get involved, what the events are, and where they're at.
Yeah. So, it was really interesting if we look back at at the history of Twist. For a long time, right before COVID, we were just doing tons of events, either in Chicago or Philadelphia, where I live. And what we found during COVID is that we were sort of uniquely positioned to be able to transition everything online, right? So we started online with that call to action, with asking people to do the twist. And with our Brushes with Cancer program, there were some people that were matched in that program that were not local. And so they were communicating already, via Skype or on Zoom or on FaceTime. So we found sort of the power of being able to be online, and also that, real and meaningful connections can be forged virtually. So during COVID and then after COVID, we continued to allow to have programs both virtually, hybrid, and now in person again. So in terms of the hospital setting, we took what we used to do in the community, and now we bring it into the hospitals. So our Twist Shop programs are 60 to 90-minute programs that often can happen monthly at various hospitals around the country. So we've got wonderful partnerships with Rush, which is now an MD Anderson Cancer Center, in Chicago. So for those of you that are in the area, that happens monthly. And Jackie Carmody, who's our lead art therapist on staff with us, who designed this program, she implements that once a month at their downtown Chicago location. We're also, we work with Little Company of Mary. We're in the Northwell Hospital System in Westchester, New York. We're at MD Anderson at Cooper in Camden, New Jersey. And so we've been spreading our wings to lots of different sites where we have recurring programs that are open to patients that are being treated at those institutions. But then we also, in addition to those hospital partnerships, we also work with other nonprofits to launch virtual programming that's open to anyone, no matter where you're at, and they're always free. So we do those at least once a month. And all of that information is on our website because we really want more people to get involved in art therapy and be able to experience it, and be able to experience it also from the privacy of their home. I think there's a lot of us that may go through treatment, and the last thing that you want to do is go back to the hospital for art therapy, right? It's great if you're already in the hospital and you're in that system, and if your appointment lines up with when we're running a session, that's one thing. But there are a lot of people that just want to be in their pajamas and want to do it from home. And we understand that. And we don't also want someone that is immunosuppressed to not feel comfortable to be able to access the programs that we're running to, right? So being in larger crowds is not always where people want to be when they are managing a cancer diagnosis and treatment. So we have lots of different entry points and access points, and we're running programs really multiple times a month. So I would say if that is of interest, definitely check out the Twist Shop section of our website to learn more, and it's on our events page as well. So that's like a huge area of growth where we started, I want to say 4 years ago, we started with 5 programs, and now we're running close to 100 throughout the course of the year. So it's really a program that has exploded. And then the other program, like I mentioned before, was Brushes with Cancer. And what's been interesting about that too is that we now do these licensed programs with other institutions where we bring what has worked with Brushes with Cancer. We take that program and we work with a partner agency. It could be a for-profit, nonprofit, pharma company, all different types. We've worked, with General Motors, the Arts Performing Arts Center in Miami, lots of different groups, small and large, where we bring that program and we work with the constituents that they're working with. So for example, when we worked with General Motors, it happened to be during COVID. We worked with their artists because they've got extraordinary artists that work at General Motors that are designing cars. When you think about the lighting and the sculpture work, they're doing amazing things with their hands. And we matched them also with other employees at General Motors who had a cancer history. And so we were connecting people from across disciplines at that site to be able to create, and we displayed the artwork on site at General Motors. So that's one example where we've had a partnership with a for-profit company bringing, this program into their space. And that program has grown exponentially over the last couple of years too. And we work with so many different types of institutions that makes the work really interesting.
And I love that you're bringing it in, not just to the places where you would think, right? The hospitals,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's always gives something to folks to look forward to, but into businesses, because cancer touches that part of everyone's lives. And I think when you see the behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
it gives that more of that empathy to employers to say, yeah, your staff and most every employer that I've talked to or I've worked with has been wonderful, right? But I think sometimes you forget that all that's behind it.
Right.
I know I look back and I'm like, I was working. Wait, I was doing what during this? Like,
No.
and I didn't have to. They were encouraging me to take time off for myself, and I was like, I can't. This is the one thing I can control. Like, let me try to control it. Yes, I'm a little bit of a control freak, but it was helpful to be able to do that. But then by the end of the day, I was just like exhausted. So I think seeing that the artwork out there in the public, right, in a business, in a for-profit space is awesome. That's wonderful. Yeah. I wasn't even aware that you've done that. So that's great. Yeah. So you have an event coming up in Philadelphia as well.
Yes, we do. We're just a couple short weeks away. It's very exciting. So we have an open Brushes with Cancer event, exhibition, and celebration on Sunday, November 9th at this amazing venue, Lila, in Fishtown, which is a very trendy part of Philadelphia for those of you that know Philly. It's a sold out event. We're super excited about that. We've got I think, close to 300 people coming to it. And there's going to be close to 30 works of art that will be presented. So this year, it's like I mentioned, it's sort of the culmination of that open program where anyone can apply from anywhere in the world. We match artists and inspirations together. So we have 25 works of art from that program. And then one of our partnerships is called Colors of SM that we do with Blueprint Medicines. And this works with a very specific population that has systemic mastocytosis, which is a very rare blood condition, now considered a cancer. And unfortunately, people with this disease go for decades, often being misdiagnosed and misunderstood. And they're going from appointment to appointment being told that they are crazy. And this is a real opportunity for us to be able to raise sort of the voices of those that have been impacted by this disease, but also try and create community amongst this population that has been so mistreated and misunderstood. So we're very excited. And that exhibition is going to be done in conjunction. So we'll see both artwork from Colors of SM and then also Brushes with Cancer.
Oh, I love that. And you just wrapped up Miami like two weeks ago.
Yeah, yes. It's been, the fall is always nuts for us, but yes, it was great. It was amazing. That was another licensed program with the Arched Performing Arts Center. It was our second year doing it. It was absolutely gorgeous. And the artwork is still on display. They display it for a month at the Performing Arts Center, which is a leading cultural institution in Miami. And so it was a wonderful opportunity for us to connect with a really diverse and beautiful group of inspirations and artists in the Miami area.
And so this is what's great is that, even though you're all over, right? So it's nice because if you're looking for something and you're not, like I was part of the Chicago area group, right? And I thought, oh, somebody was interested in it. I'm like, well, yeah, but this is in Chicago. And then I looked, I'm like, oh no, you've got it here and here. So it's nice because you do have a chance. And I mean, my artist was in Florida. So we, it's not like she was here. But it's great because when you pair those in individuals, technology is wonderful. We had phone, we had text, we had, FaceTime, we did video calls, and we had various ways of connecting with one another without needing to be in the same town. And so don't let the proximity stop you because in today's world, there are ways to still connect with people and make something very special.
Exactly. I'm so happy you had such a positive experience, Erica.
Oh, I did. And it wasn't just the artist. The entire staff was wonderful to work with and very, very understanding and concerned on how are you doing, right? And how is your experience? They wanted to be a positive experience. And that was something I personally appreciated, right? They didn't just match you up and then go away. They were checking in. They wanted to make sure you're doing well. Is this a good collaboration? Is everything going well? And to me, that it says a lot because they are concerned that you're really having an experience, and it is. And it's not just a thing; it's an experience.
Yeah.
So, what else? Anything else that you want to tell our listeners that's coming up, that's new, that's exciting, or any additional information to provide?
Well, I would just say, like you said, Erica, like to get involved with us, your geographic location really doesn't matter. We're running programs between the Twist Shops and Brushes with Cancer all over the country. So, and virtually, which makes it very easy to, participate no matter where you are. Actually, in the last year, we've had participants from 9 different countries. So it's not even about being on the same time zone at this point. So that's been really wonderful because it allows us to impact a lot more people that way and really reach people where they're at. But we're also actively looking for artists and inspirations all the time because those programs are growing. So we just matched up the next Chicago program, which will, end on March 14th not at Writers Theater, I apologize, at Wildman BT in Chicago. We were at Writers Theater last year. And that's going to be an amazing event. So those that are in the Chicagoland area, Wisconsin, wherever you are, definitely come out and support that event. Tickets will probably go on sale, I would imagine, at the beginning of January. We're still, in the process of making those matches and getting that program launched. But probably I would say at the start of the year, we're going to be recruiting for the Arts Performing Arts Center program that will be taking place the following year. We'll be looking for Colors of SM participants also. So if you know anyone with systemic mastocytosis, we would love for them to apply to that program. So applications are kind of year round. So I would highly suggest getting involved by adding your name to our newsletter. You can do that all online. And that way you can stay informed about upcoming events and programs you might be interested in participating in.
Wonderful. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up the show with anything else we need to know. This is Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any of the information during the last segments, go to getrootedradio.com to listen to the replay. Don't forget to subscribe, sign up for tips, special events, and pricing and upcoming coaching sessions at getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Jenna Benn Shersher. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So we have talked so much about your journey, Twist Out Cancer, how creativity and art can help, and then what's on the horizon for Twist Out Cancer and the events. During this last segment, let's talk about how people felt at first, maybe anything that's maybe holding them back from participating either as an artist or an inspiration, and really also what some of the participants are saying after those initial fears or concerns, and how they felt after participation.
Yeah. So I think for inspirations, we sometimes hear people talk about not having enough of a story to share, right? So I think, cancer is such a large category, right? There's so many different types of cancer, so many disease sites, so many stages, so many different, journeys that happen within the cancer space. And I want to just sort of dispel that concept that you don't have enough of a story. Like we've had some people, for example, with a melanoma or with thyroid cancer, where maybe the treatment was straightforward and it was cut out and it was done. And they'll come and say, well, that wasn't much of a story. And we'll say, well, of course that's much of a story. What do you mean? Like, you went through that experience of hearing those 3 words, you have cancer, and not knowing what was going to happen next, right? You had to face your own mortality in that moment. There is a story there, right? So sometimes the people that come in that are sort of a little bit nervous about having much of a story to tell end up realizing they have so much to process and talk about, right? So I think what's also interesting is we really emphasize the importance of having a place at the table for caregivers. Caregivers are our unsung heroes. They're the ones that get overlooked the most because we are always focusing care on the patient and not looking at the entire system of people that are there to support that patient going through treatment and beyond. And so we have a lot of caregivers that come to us that have never shared their story and really have not been able to process what they've gone through or are going through. So I think we're always very excited when we see caregivers apply to the program because we feel that they have so many useful insights that the community can really benefit from. Then the other group that we've really started to tap into are previvors. So people that are genetically predisposed to cancer that might be actually going through similar steps as someone that has cancer in order to prevent cancer from happening. So we think about people that may have the BRCA1 or BRCA2 genetic mutation, where they may go through a double mastectomy, or they're going through a ton of surveillance to make sure that cancer never comes. And, those are people that are in this sort of gray area of not having yet a cancer diagnosis, but know that there is a high probability of a diagnosis in their lifetime. And so we have focused a lot of time and effort in making sure that they have a place too at the table and have a place to be able to process. So I say this to you, that we welcome any cancer story, any journey that relates to cancer. That's why we use very inclusive language where we talk about people that have been touched by cancer. Doesn't mean that you're in active treatment, doesn't mean that you have terminal disease necessarily. I mean, we see people of all different walks of life. We also see people that come back to us 10 years later, right? That maybe participated while they were in treatment. Now we've been doing this for 13 years, and they come back years later and they say that they really want to participate again, that they're in a different place, that they want to be able to process different parts of survivorship, right? We also see a really interesting thing happen where there's role reversals. So like you mentioned, we have a number of artists that have had cancer. We've had a number of inspirations that are so inspired by the process of participating, they then become artists, right? Or they tap back into those creative parts of themselves and want to be able to create for others. Or we have inspirations that become diagnosed again with a different type of cancer, or artists that are diagnosed. So we have a lot of mixing that happens. And I think what's so important for people to know is that at Twist, there is always a place for you. That there's no clear lines of you can only participate when you are a patient or when you are done with treatment. It's really a big mix. And like I said, we just really want to encourage people to share their stories no matter where they're at.
And I love that, because there are different people who need different assistance. And what I mean by that is that caregivers, they are often overlooked, right? And it's hard taking care. I mean, I know I was hard taken care of because, I can do it myself. I'm independent, leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And, that can be a handful. And sometimes it's underappreciated. And I love that it doesn't matter where you're at on your journey. There's a place at the table for you. And it truly is a community. Because you get to know people who were part of the process. We all met, right, when we were able to be at the live event. And I think you find different forms of community when you're going through a process like this, at whatever stage you're in, beginning, middle, end, pre, post, right, whatever it is. So I think that's wonderful that you do offer up for anyone who has been, as you said, touched by cancer.
Thank you.
Well, I just, thank you so much for all you've done for the community and, the cancer community as a whole. And tell us one more time how folks can reach out, learn more, just inquire how they can apply to be inspiration or an artist, and learn more about the programs.
Yeah, so you can check everything out at twistoutcancer.org. Sign up for our newsletter that will give you all the up-to-date information on programs and events and applications for upcoming Brushes programs, and follow us on social media at twistoutcancer.
Thank you so much for being on the show today, Jenna. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Get Rooted Radio. If you missed any information of today's episode or want to listen again, go to getrootedradio.com for the podcast. And don't forget to tune in the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific right here on Transformation Talk Radio. And I just want to do a quick call out to those powerful women to be a speaker and co-author in the Lead Like a Woman experience. This event will take place in February 2026, and I'm looking for fierce women who are ready to rise, speak up, and lead, live, and love out loud. And these are more than a book. It's more than a conference. It's a movement, a sisterhood, a legacy. And if you're ready to break the molds, inspire others, then this is your invitation. Reach out to me or apply online. And one last personal message. If you are hurting or need help, please know the world needs you, and it is a better place with you in it. Don't let the hard days win. Reach out for assistance. Call or text the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or text HOME, HOME, to 741-741 to reach a trained crisis counselor through Christ Text Line. It's a global not-for-profit organization available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's also free. Thank you for tuning in. Have an amazing day. Know that you are loved, and I'm looking forward to the next time on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Visit GetRootedRadio.com if you've missed any part of this hit show, and tune in on TransformationTalkRadio.com to live fearlessly in your more and powerfully rooted in your unlimited yes. For more information and to work with Erica directly, visit GetRootedRadio.com. That's GetRootedRadio.com, and get ready to live it up, love it up, and let it go.